And joining me now is the Trinamool Congress Member of Parliament, our newsmaker tonight. Mahua Moitra joins us. Appreciate your joining us, Ms. Moitra. There's been plenty of controversy regarding this ethics panel committee hearing that was held today. You and 5 other opposition MPs reportedly walked out. The chairperson of the committee claims that you used unparliamentary language, you were evading questions. How do you respond? What's your defense?
Rajdeep, one thing is very clear. Every single minute of what transpires inside the committee is recorded in the form of minutes. This is, I think, the first time in the history of parliamentary committees that 5 members of the opposition, remember there were only 11 people present in the committee room when all this happened, only 11 people were present. There were 6 from the BJP, including the chairperson, and there were 5 from the opposition, and I was in the witness box giving my hearing. For the first time in history, you saw opposition members, we boycotted, we walked out before, but never ever have 5 opposition MPs come out straight out of the meeting and spoken to the media. People normally do not even speak to the media under Rule 275 on committing proceedings. You know that. First time in history, all other members came out and openly spoke and said, do whatever you must, we must make this open. So you can imagine how strong and how unfair what must have transpired inside for all 5 MPs who are not from the Trinamool Congress, from the JDU, from the CPIM, from the Congress, from the BSP to come out and say that, you know, what happened is we cannot be part of this proceedings. That's the first thing. This is the first time I'm talking to the press. You've got all your information from them. This was not an ethics committee. I've written a letter to the Lok Sabha Speaker in which I've given details. This was the most unethical, derogatory, demeaning, humiliating behavior meted out to me by the chairperson of an ethics committee. I have gone for my hearing. I have been called for oral evidence.
You're using very strong language. You're saying that you were demeaned at the meeting. Yes, I'm asking you, no, just a minute, ma'am. The chairperson says you've used unparliamentary language backed by the BJP MPs.
No, one second. Everything is transcribed. There's nothing secret. I have not used any unparliamentary language. Nobody has used any unparliamentary language. The chairperson was reading out from a script that had been handed to him. His line of questioning was filthy. I am standing there. There are 2 issues. One is the NIC login. And we need to make this public. There's no Rule 275 which is going to protect anybody else. You want to expel us all? Please expel us all. Because this BJP government has taken every rule, every structure that we had in this country and thrown it out of the window. So don't expect us to adhere to anything. And you quote us Rule 275. What they did from the beginning was, the rule is, I came in, I gave my statement. Then they're supposed to ask, everyone's supposed to ask questions. Before anybody else could start, the chairperson had a 10 or 12 page list of questions. His line of questioning had nothing to do with the 2 main questions. Why have I been called? One is use of the NIC login, whether it's authorized, unauthorized, and the repercussions of that. That is one issue. The second issue is the purported cash and gifts that you can ask me about, which has been provided with evidence you can ask me about, which I'm perfectly willing to answer. Whichever question he asked me related to that, and he never asked any question related to that, his entire line of questioning right from the beginning was filthy and derogatory. It was a complete Bastraharan. I mean, I don't even want to tell you all those questions. He says, you say so-and-so was a dear friend. Just how dear was he? And does his wife know how dear he was? And he named the wife. So our committee members stood up and said that you have no right when who the wife is, what that person is, how these are not members, these are not proceedings of a committee. Please stop this line of questioning. So then he says that, oh, she can answer no. So, and I want to ask you something on television, because we as women in this country have shied away from this. He's persisting with this filthy line of questioning, and he's saying, he says, oh, who do you speak to at night, and how long, what are your late night calls to, and can you provide us login details of who your late night calls are to? I said, what kind of a question? How is it relevant?
No, he apparently also asked you specifically about the login.
That is like asking a woman.
No, ma'am, you are saying he asked you personal question, but he's also claiming, just a minute, ma'am.
I've answered.
No, he's also claiming apparently that he specifically asked you about the fact that your login was used allegedly 47 times from Dubai.
Rajdeep, he never got to my logins. I will answer my logins openly. Let me finish.
Yes.
He asked, these were the line of questions. He never asked about the 47 logins. They gave an NIC report in the morning to everybody, which they showed and they took back. I was never provided a copy of the report, number one. And he never asked me about the logins. He never asked. He asked general questions about, do you think it is okay for an unauthorized person to get into your login? He never asked about the logins. He never got to that. The line of questioning he was taking, who was a dear friend? Does his wife know? Who were your late night calls to? Which hotel did you go to? Who did you stay the night with? This kind of cheap questioning. And then he says, you can say no. I'm asking you on national television, if I ask somebody, are you a prostitute? And she says no. Is that a line of questioning to take? Is the question itself not derogatory? Is that question itself not derogatory? How dare, just because I'm sitting in a witness box, he is going to follow this unethical, immoral, Vastraharan is going to go on. And I'm going to have to sit there. Every time, multiple times the MPs told him, multiple times. And I have to say, none of the BJP MPs on record said anything. No one. They did not behave like him. Only
Okay, can I just stop you for a moment?
And also, let me ask
just a minute. Ma'am, just a minute. I need to clarify. Ma'am, just a minute.
Let me speak.
Ma'am, just a minute. I'll let you speak. A BJP MP at that, since you said none of them supported the chairperson, a BJP MP, Aparajita Sarangi, who's a part of that meeting, says, when questions were raised about Darshan Hiranandani's affidavit, Mahua Moitra became furious. She was very aggressive, rude, defensive, and arrogant. This is what was said by Aparajita Sarangi. How do you respond?
She can say whatever she likes. Whatever question was asked about the affidavit, I have answered. It is on transcript. His affidavit, item 12, says super luxury goods. I have told you the super luxury. What can you ask me about the affidavit? On the affidavit, he says that he has posted questions. I gave him my portal login ID and password, and he has got the questions posted. I have already said I gave him my login ID and password, not now, but in 2019, because I wanted someone in his office to type in the questions. The OTP came to me. I am surprised it's only 47 times, because since 2019 to now, I would have thought the login would have been 100 times or more, given that 61 questions have been asked. I'm surprised it's only 47 times. I've already said that I used his office secretariat staff to type in the questions. It was not unauthorized because I had the OTP, so nobody could post a question without me knowing. And number two, the big question which I've written is, where were the NIC rules prohibiting it? Okay, that's the first question. I've already said it. So whether it's 47 or 470, I've already said that he had the login ID into the password. It is not an email ID. Please understand. The second question, Darshan's affidavit, which is in the public domain, in paragraph 12 says super luxury. He gave me super luxury goods. He gives no details. When I said my super luxury good is one scarf and makeup, he says he gave me support on renovation of my house. I said the support is architectural drawings, which CPWD executed, no cash exchanged hands. The third thing he says was travel expenses. I told him, I clarified that by saying it is a car and driver when I traveled to Bombay and when I went to Dubai. He said logistical and secretarial help. I've already told you I used his office for typist assistance. These were the four things in the affidavit
defended yourself on these points earlier on my show
me?
last week. But my question to you, ma'am, is you see
but that's
the
exactly,
chairman of the ethics committee seems to see an impropriety in this. He believes that giving your login in the manner that you did is improper, is the suggestion that he gives.
No, if he can ask me, the login portal, which everybody in the committee also pointed out, which I've written in my letter, is the NIC had no rules whatsoever. The Congress member, one of the members of the committee pointed out that the first question to answer is where are the NIC rules and where were they given to an MP? There are 543 MPs in the Lok Sabha, 290 something in the Rajya Sabha. Each of them gives it at least to 8 or 10 people during their tenure to put in questions. So 4,000 people have got this login portal and ID.
But according to Mr. Nishikant Dubey, the BJP MP, you gave it to Mr. Hiranandani, who, according to him, had a vested interest in getting you to ask specific questions because of his interest in the data center business.
I don't need to answer. Listen. Listen, I've already explained to you, in the data center business is 6 months old. I've been asking questions since 2019. There was a data center business in 2019. There's one question on data centers in 2023 because I'm on the IT committee and we discussed that point. I'm not going to sit here and talk about, like I said, some who can say anything. I'm sorry. This kind of
those words that you used have been used by Mr. Dubey. He claimed, Mr. Dubey, ma'am, Mr. Dubey says that you used because the chairperson, Mr. Sonkar, belongs to a particular caste. He says it's a casteist slurs, and using the word is an insult.
Listen, 1 second. I'm not going to refer to Nishikant Dubey, who was not present at the meeting.
Okay.
There is no question of answering anything Nishikant Dubey says because he was not present in the meeting. So let us put that out of the window.
Okay.
I don't even know what caste Mr. Sonkar is. I'm sorry, I don't come from that kind of mentality where you first think of somebody's caste. Those people might. The BJP certainly does. We don't. Like I've always said, we don't, in Bengal, we think of who the person is, we don't think of what caste they are. So that's very clear. I've written I've given on affidavit, this cannot go on. All 5 members have left because this kind of, I would say shameful. It is the most unethical thing on the name of an ethics committee. The line of questioning he took was sordid, misogynist and filthy. And I want to call this out on national television to everybody. There are no rules anywhere that would require any chairman of an ethics committee, no inquiry that would require him to follow this line of
Why did the women of the group not? It appears though that this committee, ma'am, was divided between the government and the opposition. That the government MPs and the chairperson on one side, opposition MPs on the other. So where, it's not about misogyny as much as political divide.
Because the poor BJP MP. One second. If the poor BJP MPs, the lady MPs, I have to thank them. When all this was going out, I don't know what Ms. Sarangi said after the meeting, but during the meeting she did not say anything. She did not say one word either against when the opposition spoke. She did not say anything when Mr. Sonkar spoke. There were 2 BJP MPs, women MPs there, both of whom I respect greatly, Sunita Duggal and Aparajita Sarangi ji. Respect them both. None of them said even one word either to the opposition when it brought out and to the other. So, what are you trying to tell me? Today we had Vishnu Dutt Sharma, who was the chairman of the BJP. He was brought by a chartered flight. There's an election going on in Madhya Pradesh. He's the chairperson of the BJP. They wanted so badly to sit there and get this done on majority. They pulled the poor man out.
So you're saying this was a hit job.
And brought him.
So you're saying this is a hit job, which is not based on fact. You've asked for cross-examination. Just a minute, ma'am. You've asked for cross-examination of Mr. Dubey and Mr. Dehadrai.
He said it's not, yeah.
I believe that has not been allowed. Am I correct?
Not Mr. Dubey, of Hiranandani. Exactly. So of Mr. Hirandani and Anjay Anand Dehadrai. Why would that not be allowed? If Mr. Hirandani can give a suo motu affidavit, which is leaked to the press, why should they not want to know him? If the committee were fair, would the committee not want to call the main person? Darshan is the bribe giver. He is an Indian citizen. He is answerable to the Parliament of India and to the Ethics Committee. He is not a foreign citizen. Why would you not call Darshan?
Can I therefore ask you, why
should I be denied that right? Anyway, be that as it may.
Where does this go from here, Mahua Moitra? You seem to have decided aggression is the best form of defense. Are you still hopeful that you will get a fair hearing?
Not at all, Darshan. Not at all. Their aggression is not the. That is a very incorrect statement for you to make, Rajdeep. I'm sorry, I didn't expect that from you. But since you made it, let me tell you that when somebody is sitting there putting a woman through a Vastraharan, I'm sorry. I'm not one of those women that are going to sit there and watch these men disrobe me. I'm very sorry. That's not happening. If that's being called aggressive, then I am aggressive. Because we are parliamentarians. I'm one of 78 in this country of 1.4 billion people sitting in the Lok Sabha. I didn't get here by being the role model for the BJP. I'm sorry. If I'm aggressive, so be it. He has no business to ask those personal questions. No committee can function like this. Please stick to the rules. I have written to the Lok Sabha Speaker and I have told him, give me protection. I have answered all the questions. Anything else you require, I will put my statement on affidavit and give it to you.
What is the protection, therefore, you're looking at? And are you hopeful of what is the protection, ma'am, that you're looking at? And are you hopeful for a fair hearing?
I I am looking at an ethics committee that functions like an ethics committee. I am looking at a situation where things are based on fact. If there are no NIC rules, how are people supposed to follow them? If there is a login portal ID that every MP is given to 10 people, then how am I supposed to be the only one who's not being allowed to? The second thing, if there's cash, where is the cash? There is not one iota of cash being proved. Cash was not even mentioned in the meeting today. If there's no cash, what are we talking about? If they're talking about gifts, I've already given you a list. What are you talking about? Please keep the query on what it's supposed to be. If this is supposed to be the Home Minister and the Prime Minister's way to get me under, then they'll get me under no matter what. But excuse me, we're not going down without a fight. You've got the wrong person, like I said this. This is not on. The chairperson's filthy, sordid, unethical line of questioning. And what was this ethics committee doing when the government was spying on us on spyware? What happened to the call details then? He's asking me who I'm speaking to at night and the call details. I need to give that to an ethics committee. There's no fundamental right to privacy. What is going on? You ask me about the NIC login portal, I give you details. You ask me what Darshan Hiranandani has given you, I give you details. That's the inquiry. Form what you want to on the basis of that. If that calls for a suspension, please do so.
So
if it calls for anything else, please do so.
Have you come out of the meeting?
Tactics to try and undermine the dignity of a woman.
Have you come out of the meeting believing that it's almost inevitable that this particular ethics committee is going to suspend you? This particular ethics committee, every ethics committee is supposed to finish its work. I don't see how this ethics committee is going to finish its works, given that the conduct of this chairperson was so shameful and derogatory that 5 of the committee members have walked out and boycotted the proceedings. So if they want to carry on a committee with just 6 BJP members in it, then good luck to them. If they think they can suspend, they can do anything. They have a majority in the House, that's fine. If the ethics committee,
there's a court of law in this country.
My final question, if the ethics committee calls you back, as they are likely to, for clarifications, you will appear before them, or have you lost confidence in this ethics committee and you will not appear before them?
If the ethics committee calls me back, where the speaker can guarantee to me that the line of questioning will not involve filthy, sordid, unethical lines of questioning, then of course, like I have said, but I don't expect it from them. I don't expect it from this chairperson, given what happened today. He was warned repeatedly. I was in the witness box. I didn't even say anything. The other 5 MPs kept saying, sir, don't do this. What are you saying? Please don't say this. How is this relevant? Stop it. Stop it. But because he had a script to read from, maybe his ticket will get cut in the Lok Sabha elections coming up if he doesn't follow the BJP script. There's not even this much of neutrality. You know, he was being so ridiculous about it. So there's question 1, 2, 3, 4. So if the answer to question 1 is yes, only then can you go 2, 3, 4. So if I've answered the question 1 as no, because he's reading from a script, he's still answering 2, 3, 4. So everybody's saying, how is that relevant? But he doesn't know because he's reading from a script.
Okay.
It was a bloody farce. It was just a farce. And I'm not going to sit there. I'm sorry. Call it aggression, call you whatever. I am a role model. Mamata Banerjee's party is what I represent. Mamata Banerjee is a role model for millions of people.
Mahua Moitra, appreciate your joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.